So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 415, and unfortunately, we will not be getting a lot of text for the spoilers when I'm making this video, but what we do have are some amazing images that I'm just going to be talking about in a very different style than normally. So hopefully you can just stand with me for right now as we talk about the spoilers. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Andrew, and I'm here to cover the spoilers for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 415. And for what we're getting with the spoilers, this time around, because of everything that happened over the past few weeks, we unfortunately are not going to be getting the text spoilers, or at least I'm not going to be covering them when I'm actually making this video. A lot of what I'm going to be talking about in this video is going to be based off the images that I was able to get and obtain, and try to speculate on what this chapter is going to be about and what is going to be leading into. And from what I'm seeing, it's going to most likely be a lot of action, but potentially setting up for what's going to be going on in the next chapter, especially since it is going to be confirmed that we're only going to have 11 pages, which is worrying, and potentially Horikoshi is going to be on break next week. But what is even more worrying is that I feel as if this is going to be something that's going to be a little bit more of a common trend, mainly because we see that Oda's most recent chapter of One Piece, if you haven't read it or seen any spoilers for it, is actually a lot shorter than typically, around 15 pages including the double page color spread, so around 13. So I'm not saying that these two incidences are related, but the fact that they are some of the highest ranking mangaka in Shonen Jump right now may be the reasoning why these chapters are a little bit short, or it's just some unexpected thing happened in both of their lives at the same time. We just don't know. But that's besides the point. Let's dive into the spoilers and really talk about what's going on in chapter 415. So, to start off, it seems as if this chapter is going to be continuing on from what we saw last chapter, which is that we're going to see the vestiges or the images or the memories of both of the characters of Tomura Shigaraki and Izuku Midora pretty much flooding into both of their minds as Deku is preparing another attack. And we do have a panel where we do have Yoichi most likely considering what they need to do within the vestige world and explaining some stuff about One for All and All for One, most likely maybe talking about their similarities because it's Yoichi and he is the younger brother of All for One, and potentially we don't actually know if it's confirmed that they are identical twins or fraternal twins, but we know that they are at the very least twins, so that is something else that we can talk about. But from what we're getting with the next page, we see that potentially what is happening is that all of the users of One for All are actually going to be potentially transferred over to Tomura in this moment, as we see a panel of all of the users that are just flashing in his arm as he's about to prepare another attack on Tomura, which leads to not necessarily seeing more flashbacks and memories based off this attack, but as he's preparing to make another attack, we see more images of like Suyu and Mineta during the USJ incident, as well as the USJ Nomu, as we get perspectives of them looking at Kurogiri, which, tying into what we're getting at the end of this chapter, this could be hinting at how Deku may be recovering potentially the lost quirks of One for All. Maybe, I cannot say for certain, but what we do see is the actual hit landing on Tomura in one of these panels, and by him doing this, we see that the arms are, or the fingers are still trying to like come out and protect him, but unfortunately it's a little bit too late, as we see potentially all 6 of the remaining quirks of One for All, including most likely the like literal or like metaphysical image of All Might, which seems to take on a more physical form now in this one panel, which is very worrying and concerning for what this could imply for All Might. But we see just them twisting around, actually seeing that part of the actual core that was seen a few chapters earlier is beginning to break apart, or more or less trying to build a shield around the core part of what we're assuming is Tomura Tenko as the punch lands, and we see the vestiges potentially of One for All burst through that shield and actually hit the core as Deku reels back. And it's not revealed on how many quirks are actually in One for All at this moment. It could have just been In, with the implication of last chapter that In was going to be the one to sacrifice himself and pierce through the core, but we do see 5 flashes of One for All just not going and hitting the actual core directly, or just bouncing off of the shield, which could be the implication of Tomura like rejecting them and pushing them back. or just the implication that only one of them was actually able to attack and hit the core. We do not know for certain, we do not have the translations for it right now, but this is just speculation on my part. But going more into it, we actually get a page which may confirm a theory that many people had about Tomura and All For One, and it's either the implication that Deku is learning that All For One was the father figure of Tomura Shigaraki when he was young, or it's the implication that potentially All For One was the one that gave Tomura Shigaraki DK. And this is very important because we have never get confirmation that All For One was the direct individual that actually interacted with Tomura at that moment, but there are similarities between him and the character that actually rescued Dabi, so people put 2 and 2 together. And we do not know for certain. We're going to have to wait for the translations to actually come out properly, but that is most likely what Horikoshi is potentially hinting at when it comes to Tomura and his connection with All For One. And as we're approaching the final pages of the chapter, we just get a page of all of the fingers as we saw a big mass of like fingers and hands as we saw in the fight between Shigaraki for all, or all for Shigaraki, however you want to put it, going up against the heroes in the Flying UA Fortress, as we're actually going to cut back from this battle as we get a confirmation of one of Mei Hatsume's drones is actually able to record the entire battle. So if you're wondering like how people were able to know what was going on even though they are far from the UA Flying Fortress, you can thank Mei Hatsume for sending out her flying drone, which is most likely the same flying drone that we saw All Might catch when Deku got his like gloves for the first time for Air Force. We see she is most likely relaying the information in the video to the individuals who are recording the individual part of the business course, as well as we get to see Gentle and Mr. Cementos here as well, as it seems as if the UA Flying Fortress has finally been able to touch the ground. As we cut over to actual USJ or UA proper, where we get to see Eri crying, rushing to the screen, most likely to support Deku in his fight against Tomura Shigaraki. And now, we do not know what this could imply for the story moving forward, but it could be implying that maybe Eri's going to get involved and heal Deku and revive his quirks if he's lost a lot of them, if not all of them, because we only see that Deku is currently using Black Whip and that Banjo is the only one inside of him. But we just cannot say for certain, just with the panel itself and without any proper translations. But yeah, that's all I really have for right now. I'll wait until the actual chapter comes out to do a more proper review to get a better in-depth understanding of what's actually going on in this chapter. But from what I've seen so far, this is going to be a potential setup chapter, as well as getting some very cool action and potentially confirming a few things that we may have predicted over the years. But let me ask you this, what did you think of the spoilers, and what do you think is going on in this chapter? Leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!